And today we continue bloodshed number 4, maybe. And so we continue with the story of the bloodshed. And as I'm trying to do the last few classes, I'm trying to remind you, or to whoever join us, that what we are doing is following the text. I'm totally confined, limited by the text. So when I speak on bloodshed, number 3 of Noah, I completely follow tied to the text of Genesis, which start with the first murder, Cain, killing Abel, and then ending up with Noah and flood, and the Rainbow Covenant, which is based on bloodshed laws. So the whole section from Cain and Abel to Noah is revolving about bloodshed. And as I mentioned before, and to whoever joining us, that this way, by following Book of Genesis this way, we saw that chapter 1, Genesis introduces God and the Sabbath and the idea of idolatry, which is commandment number 1. Then we follow the text. The text actually leads us to Story of Eden, which is completely revolving around adultery, beside adultery. Adultery, the woman, the snake, talk about it. And the law of adultery is right there in Eden. So from idolatry and adultery, now we move, following the Torah text, and move to bloodshed, number 3. So we see that Moses actually wrote a book, amazingly, with the 6th commandment of Adam on his mind, because he continued with the other commandments, theft, justice, and so on, and blasphemy. So Moses had in mind the 6th commandment for Adam when he wrote the book of Genesis. So to whom he was speaking to us. He was speaking to Noah beside Israel. And why I'm saying us, I'm amazed to say that us means literally us. Why? I'll tell you why. Because we are the first generation, and think about it. We are the first generation that look at chapter 1, and I mentioned it many times before. We look at the story of creation, and to us in the 21st century, suddenly it looked a real text to describe perfectly well what we know about creation from science. If you want to see how, look at History Channel report, and I mentioned it in early classes, and you go step by step, you see that Moses followed what we know in science perfectly well. So all the previous generation couldn't do that, could know that. Rabbi Akiva or any rabbi, even the last century, all the sages of the Torah, as great as they are and aware, they offered all kinds of explanation. Chapter 1, holy beast, allegorical, but we are the point that we listen to that, but we don't need it. We have a direct knowledge, not a belief, but direct knowledge. And I talk about what the difference between knowing and believing. I believe in something that I can touch. I believe the table is here. It may or may not be here. But if I say, I know the table is here, then I know it's here. So if I say, I know the chapter 1 is true, I know it because it's not, I don't believe in it. I know it's true because I compare it to the science, and it's perfectly, they do match. So no human being could write such a do we understand when we realize that we stand in awe? Who is no human being could, at the time of Moses, could write such a chapter that could perfectly matched science with the Torah. No priest, no king in the 8th century. Oh, look what they tell us in the YouTube. They offer all kind of explanation of the Torah. I want to know who could write such a chapter. Perfect. It's a miracle in our hand. It's perhaps the only miracle that I can touch and say perfectly well. It's a miracle. So because of that, I have the feeling that kind of give me the feeling, and to you maybe also, that Moses actually wrote it to us because he knew that a generation will come, not so soon, but down the road, that we're able to understand what he's writing in a direct way. And who is that generation? Not in 18th century, and not in 19th century, and not in the 20th century, only us. And the more we know from science now, quantum physics and all that, I'm telling you, it's unravel all kind of mystery of the Torah in a perfectly way that only we now know directly can understand. Okay, that's so. That means that when he writes this book in a perfectly organized way, moving from our commandment to the other, it means that Moses had us in our mind, he had you and me and Rod and all the teachers of this community and the person who listened to those videos and learned Torah. He saw us and talked to us because we know what he's talking about. It gives me a direct connection to what he's saying. So we're not wasting our time here. We are learning things that was given miraculously to Moses. Having said that's enough, and we can move on. And I said in the introduction because I know in the past many people ask me, Abel, Cain, leave me with those ancient stories. They are not ancient stories. It's a message given to us from Moses. There is another topic that if you ask me, what is the historical background of that? Well, there is a whole gap of between 3,500 years BC to 10,000 BC. There's a whole gap that science doesn't know. We only find the only archaeological finding, like the pyramid, and like those stones in Turkey, that the age is 10,000 years BC, and are perfectly carved out and beautifully, such a high level of science and technology. So certainly there was some kind of culture, human culture, that was lost, and we don't see it anymore. Is it under Antarctica or any other place, either in the ocean? I don't know. But I know that Moses is telling us the truth. So something is true in this story. So now as we move on to discuss the story begins from the first one of bloodshed, begins with Abel, Cain killing Abel, ending with Noah. With your permission, I'll do what is not customary. I will start with the end, because I know this is where we want to go. So instead of reading the chapter step by step, I will go straight to the end to see where we are going. And the end of the story of course the flood and the rainbow covenant. So Noah is sitting in the ark for so many days, and he's pondering about what happened. I want to focus on that moment. The Midrash speak about it. And something bothering him. How did it all happen? What bothered him is how could such pious generations, the children of Adam and Eve, the first 3 generations were completely pious. How did suddenly degenerate into such horrible society that transgressed all the laws possible? Especially, they excel in bloodshed, excel in adultery, and also idolatry. They didn't do idolatry of the wood and stone. They had their own kind of idolatry. I will tell you, we speak about. But they transgressed all of them. How could they do such a stupid thing or unexpected, if you say unexpected thing, and deteriorated and slid down the slope of the wall from one commandment to the other until they violated all of it? How do he knew? Of course, he knew what the sin of the generation was. How do I know that he knew that? The text shows that. The text shows that he had a vision before the flood. He saw the heavenly court, and it's here in the text, and I want to show you the text. So don't think that I'm speaking from my mind. So I'll try to share with you. Okay. So here's the text. Here's the text from Genesis before the flood. Okay, so he's sitting. He knew that before he entered the ark. You see the blue, the two heavenly attributes appear to him. Blue first, YHVH. You see it here. Then Elohim in red. It's a text. I just put a paint on it, so you will see the difference in the attribute, and they are symmetric. YHVH appear 1, 2, 3, 4, and Elohim appear 1, 2, 3, 4. So Elohim 4. Elohim appear 4 times. YHVH 4 times. So it's a perfectly symmetric thing. Noah is in the middle. So Elohim, both of them assess. YHVH assess first mankind, then Noah from our own time, and then Elohim assess Noah and the mankind. So let's see what it showed without dwelling too much on that. What do they tell? What did the heavenly court say? By the way, you see the protocol. YHVH always speak first in the heavenly court, and YHVH saw that the evilness. You already mentioned that evil is only in the eyes of YHVH, and here is a proof of that, because the term evil will not appear here, never, not in Elohim, but only in a merciful aspect. So the evilness of Adam was great, and that all the impulse of his heart, and evil was all day long. He had all day long walking around with evil thoughts and evil heart. She doesn't mention the sin, only the heart and the mind. And she regretted that he or she made Adam on earth and was saddened. She was saddened. It's emotional reaction to her heart. And YHWH said, I will wipe out the man from whom I made from the face of the earth, because men, for men and cattle and so on. And then she moved on, and Noah found faith in the eyes of Hashem. So Hashem speaks, attribute of mercy speaks only on the human heart. No one can quarrel with that. No one can tell me that YHWH is a Jehovah from the desert of the Sinai, that the Hebrew God, bloodthirsty Jehovah. If somebody said that, bring him to the text and show him. You see, the merciful one, YHWH, she's a merciful one. She's worried about man's heart and man's evilness. And she doesn't even pay attention to the law. Whereas Enoch found faith in her heart because she liked him. He was like her. He was kind, merciful, was kind to he was able to take care of the animal. Now the Torah move on to Elohim, speaking in heavenly code. The opposite. First, Elohim speak about Noah, he continued on Noah. And it says, these are the generation of Noah. Noah was a complete righteous man. The term righteous is only appearing in the eyes of Elohim. Righteous means he's winning the trial. He came out from the trial with the upper hand. Rambam said. And Noah, with Elohim, Noah walked. And Noah begot a 3 sons, and earth was corrupted before Elohim, and the earth filled with Hamas. Corrupted and Hamas. Corrupt is, according to Rashi, is sexual. Hamas is bloodshed and theft, and so on. And flesh corrupted on his way against terrible sexual. We can talk about the sexual corruption, and Rashi talked about it. And Elohim said to Noah, that I'm going to wipe out the earth. So Noah knew all that. So the only question he had on his mind is, why then it happened? Why did it happen? Why did it happen? I'm afraid if I stop that slide, I will lose you. I did a mistake. I turned off the connection to the internet there. So I leave the slide on just because I don't want to lose it. Okay. So Noah knew all that. And yet he's sitting in the ark and he's pondering what happened. It means he was pondering what brought this. How could it be that mankind would fulfill and become so evil, and we do all the sins after three righteous pious generations? Something is rotten in human heart, maybe, that could push us to do evil, or what else? There is some fault in it, which he could understand. And that bothered him so much, the rabbi said, he did not want, he became despair. He did not want to bring more children to the world. How do we know that? Because the flight was over. Look at the text. The flight was over. The land dried out. He sent the raven back and forth. And It seems fine. He even sent a dove, and she came back with a leaf of an olive leaf in her mouth, showing him, vegetation is out there. And yet he sits there with his family, and he reluctantly to go out. He refused to go out. So the Midrash says, why didn't you go out? One of the rabbis, they were saying, if I were Noach, I would immediately open the door and jump out. The sun and the trees flew blooming. Wow, why is sitting there in the ark? It's something strange here. So Elohim noticed that. And the Torah says that Elohim then told him, go out. So if the rabbi said, one of the rabbis said, Noach was a righteous man. He listened to Elohim. So he was told, he had been told by Elohim to enter, and now he's waiting for the command. He will not go out unless he get permission. He's such a nice boy following Elohim order. But now Elohim comes and tell him to go out, and he is not listening. Something is on his mind. Can you hide it from Elohim? No. So Elohim then turned to him and said, Noach, go out, you and your wife, and your children and their wives. I know what's on your mind. You don't want to bring children to the world? That's why you don't want to go out? Go out and procreate. Oh, so from here the rabbi actually in Midrash says, from here we know what was on his mind. He was fearful that his children now repeat the whole story of Cain and Abel and killing and the whole story of the flood. Because he is now the new Adam. Nama is a new Eve. His 3 sons are the new children of Cain and Abel. It won't take long that we just go out, maybe not our generation, but the next generation, maybe first generation, or once you go out, it's Cain will stand up and kill Abel again. Who knows? A rivalry between our sons. And the whole story of the flood will come back. And I don't want to see it ever again. I don't want to bring children unless I'm promised to change. Something will change. And I have a hope that the flood will not come out. Otherwise, I will not procreate. That was on his mind. So Elohim saying, no, I'm ordering you to go out. Well, Noach is a righteous man who walked with Elohim. He listened to Elohim. He indeed go out finally. But he's adamant. There says there, he went out, he and his sons, and his wives, and his son's wife. Meaning, we stand on our own view. We are not going to procreate. So the same Noach that listened to Elohim before the flood so much, that he was a righteous person. Here he comes out, I'm not listening to you, Elohim. I'm not bringing children to the world. So what was in his mind? The Torah doesn't say, but the Torah tells us what he did right after that. And from here we can learn what is in his mind. Because the first thing he did on his mind was he took his family by foot to Mount Moriah. where Jerusalem will in future stand. Why Mount Moriah? Because Mount Moriah is where Cain stood up and killed Abel. So now we understand that the whole loop is closed now. He goes there with the first murder to try to stop the whole chain of the downfall from coming back. And the Midrash speaks so beautifully about how they travel on foot, like a pilgrimage between Mount Ararat in Turkey to Mount Moriah. And everywhere they went, they saw villages and towns, still house full of furniture and even food on the table, but no people. And in fact, no cattle, nothing. Sadly, they go that road. I have the feeling that one day, and you can laugh, I don't know, but I get a feeling that Mount Moriah, the road from Mount Moriah to down to, the road from Mount Ararat to Mount Moriah will become a pilgrimage for all mankind, people who walk that, because the connection, it signifies the connection of Noahide to Mount Moriah, to the temple, to Israel. And it also shows that Mount Moriah is not just for Israel. Noahide have ownership on the place even before Israel. So Noahide has something to do, claim on Mount Moriah. No less than Israel. Israel is only certain kind of Israel. Beautiful thought. Maybe it will happen one day. So as they come to Mount Moriah, the Midrash says, they climb up on the mountain, and they identify, Noah identified to his 3 sons, the stones, the remnant of Cain and Abel altar. Still stood there for hundreds of years. And he took that stone and they built his own altar, square, filled with dirt, with a ramp to the south. Because why I'm saying it, because according to the Midrash, this altar would become the prototype of all the other altars that Moses built in the desert, that King Solomon built in Jerusalem, and Ezra built in Jerusalem when he came back. All the altars were square, full of dirt, with ramp on the south. Because of whom? Because of Noah. So he took them on purpose to show them, my children, this is a danger. This is where all started. All downfall of the flood started here, when the first murder. So listen to me. One day you will build, the Midrash says, one of you will build here in town, call it the city of peace. Jeru in Hebrew, city, Salem, peace, Jerusalem. Build me a city of peace here. Now that fate of the city will depend on you. It can be a source of major bloodshed, and it can be a source of peace. What a prophecy. And he told them, listen, you don't want the flood to come back. So you know what you opt? You opt for peace. And they built the altar. And he also showed them the place in the solid stone there, rock, that absorbed the blood of Abel into the ground, and the blood actually exited from the southern slope of the mountain became a cursed place for hell, for eternity. The blood of Abel. It came out on the southern slope of Mount Moriah. It's hell. If you ask Torah scholar where is hell, he will take you to Jerusalem, show the southern slope, right there. Nobody ever settled in that place until today. Now, as he continues the story that we reconstruct now from the Midrash and from the book of Zohar, and he's standing there, and he bring on the altar. He had a choice. He can bring fruit like Cain to show that he's a nice person, vegetarian, or he can bring animals, like identify himself with Abel, the victim. And he decide, and you can perhaps tell why, he decided to identify with Abel. He bring animals to the horror of his wife. It's a beautiful description here. She is appalled. What are you doing? We took care of those animals for so many months in our ark. We love those animals. We know them by name, first name. And you dare to take them and slaughter them for what? You want to stop bloodshed by killing? Are you stupid? What are you doing? But he identified himself with Abel. So she liked it or not, but he raised a knife and standing there thinking, outpouring his heart. That's why the offering that he offered there is called burnt offering. Unlike gift offering, burnt offering, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the author of the Zohar, said, burnt offering, in Hebrew it comes out in rhyme very nicely. You offer what is on your heart. You remember, it's amazing that when Cain was about to kill, Hashem told him, Cain, sin is crouching at the door of your heart. So what is on your door in your heart, all your tribulation, all your desires, all your secretly, without the word, without the priest listening to you, there's no confession here. That's the special merit of burnt offering, even in temple time. When people brought burnt offering, they did not confess, they didn't say anything to the priest, just gave it to him. And he stood there, silence, outpouring the heart. Nobody listened. You don't have to confess. Because sometimes it's so complex. You cannot even utter it with words. What can he say? So he stood there downloading his heart, or uploading, if you want, his heart on the smoke of the altar. And as he stand there with a knife, he most likely recalled in a flash of the mind what happened here years ago. When on that place, that spot exactly, stood Cain and Abel. You can imagine Cain stepping up to the altar proudly, dressing up. He is a preferred son of Eve, the beloved son. Everybody likes him. He's strong, he's beautiful, and he brings vegetables. He proudly trot up and offering to Hashem. Eve told him to purchase. When she was born, said, this Cain means to purchase. This boy will purchase mankind with Hashem. We purchase the way he will connect mankind with Hashem. This was his task from birth. So he's fulfilling his mother expectation. By the way, she failed one thing. She did mention Elohim. She said, I purchased a boy with a YHVH. And we already said that she saw Hashem in full glory out of the bleeding uterus. She came out with a pool of love and emotion, and she saw Hashem so much that Elohim was actually discarded to the side. And there is a fault here that probably played out later on in their history. So he comes out as expected, carrying this vegetable and flowers to Hashem. All these peers and sisters and brothers watching him, admiring him. He's the priest of the family. By him, step up, Abel. He's the opposite of him. Abel was thin, modest. On him, the verse says, after describing the big expectation from Cain, the verse says, yeah, and also she bore a boy named Abel. Also, he was also born. It's not important. He was also born there. And the name Abel in Hebrew, Hevel, the rabbi said was not his right name. Hevel means vanity, a breath, a passing breath. So the name the Torah gives, because he's passing away without children like a breath. It's also a sign that he had humility. He didn't think much about him. He's like Hevel, nothing. Exact opposite of Cain. He's just dragged there, and the Torah says he also offered his offering, gift offering. Now, why gift offering? They are going to purchase the connection to Hashem. It's not like Noah with a burn offering. You don't download any emotion, they just purchase. Thanksgiving or what let us connect to Hashem, to loving Hashem. So Abel was dragged to there as if by without any special meaning to him, as if, but he was kind and modest. And when finally it came, the smoke came up, it turned out that Hashem accepted Abel and did not accept Cain. How did they know? How did they know about it? Because the smoke. It was the same scenery, the same wind, the same circumstances, but the smoke came up straight up from altar, from Abel, straight to the sky. Signing that is accepted. Whereas Cain's smoke remained hovering over the mountain with a stench. What a humiliation to Cain. So Hashem, and we are talking now about what Noah could have had on his mind at that moment when he lifted the knife, or he's called correct. He's going to correct something here. The first offering. He's going to correct the first murder. So he recalled the scenery. So he, as he remembered from his teaching, from his learning, he learned everything from Enosh, his grandfather, who had learned it from Adam and Eve. So he knew the story. And the story went on to say that Hashem noticed the build-up of emotion in Cain's heart, because she is all about She is listening. That is what she's all about. She's listening to human heart. So she listened, she looked at Cain's heart and she said, Cain, sin is crouching in the door of your heart. But Cain didn't listen. On the contrary, it continued to inflame the hatred. He also, that Medrash goes on to say, he talked to everyone that how stupid this man is, how stupid his brother is, how nothing. He stole, he's a witchcraft. He did something wrong to steal the primary position of him. He stole his priesthood. He is nothing. And he continued to inflame, to spread lies about Abel, and Abel was not aware of it. And one day, when they were alone on that mountain, on that side, Cain stood up and attacked his unexpected Abel, brother Abel, and shocked him with his own hand. He first tried stone, it didn't work. He didn't know how to kill him, but finally he choked him. And you know, the way that he tried to use stone, and both all the way that he tried would become the way to execute killer in the Beit Din, in the Jewish code, by sword, by hanging, by stone, and so on. And he tried. Finally, he killed Abel with his own hands, and by this, he completely failed to execute his mission as a priest of Hashem. Now, Noach, think about it. And he says, I identify with Abel. Cain and his children are no longer able to do the task that he was appointed to. So I identify with Abel, and I will pick up the way. I will connect my children to Hashem. By using Abel's way, I'm going to offer Abel sacrifice, animal sacrifice, like Abel, identify with him, because I know that Hashem expected and appreciated. He did appreciate Abel's offering. He listened to Abel. So whatever I was unloading from my heart, I will support it with the offering that continues or identifies with what Abel did. What a great mistake. Because you know what happened? The Torah, the Midrash said, actually, that he did hit it. The knife went down and hit the sacrifice to the horror of his wife. And Noach felt good about it. He felt, okay, I accomplished it. I fulfilled, I identified the first, after 10 generations, there's one man here, identified with Abel completely, and I continue to offer what he offered, sacrifice. And he sat down by the altar 3 times and contemplating. As I sat there, the Midrash said, something happened. Heavy cloud came from all over and covered the place. And the smoke coming from his altar did not go up. Instead, it kept hovering over the mountain with a spreading stench, bad stench of burning flesh. choking them. So the idea that he's going to accomplish what Abel would have done, completely gone. Abel, because Hashem doesn't look at the way you do it with the animal or vegetable. Hashem look at your heart. Hashem look at the thought of it. And it looked like Hashem rejected Noah's approach. So he sat down deflated, completely deflated. And he was thinking now, if that's so, is there any hope? If my prayers are not going up, can we ever stop the flood from coming? Can I stop can something stop my children from repeating the whole event again? That Cain would steal one day again and kill another Abel? And then the whole generation will deteriorate, and the bloodshed, and the whole story will repeat. Can I stop it? There is no way, even my prayer it doesn't help. So what could? And he fell there, sat there completely deflated and sad. Now I think I stop here because the next, what happen next, I believe God willing for the next class. And if we have few minutes, let's discuss. You have any question or about what we discussed here?
Yes, Rabbi, I have a question. I never thought about the connection between Noah and Adam being like two identical families with 3 children each, husband, wife, 3 children. So I have 2 questions. You said that Abel was a name that was assigned, but that was not really his name. Do you know what his name really was?
I think the Midrash may mention a name, but it's not so important. I don't remember exactly.
Okay.
But simply the word Hevel, you see, Kohen, the ecclesiastical scroll is called in Hebrew. There is a verse there, Hevel, vanity is vanity.
Yeah.
So that vanity is the Hebrew Hevel. So the Midrash then pick up and say, seeing what happened to him and knowing what the character he was, so there's no wonder that the Torah actually calls him Hevel. And we know that in the Torah, as a rule, many names are given symbolically. Not even the name of Moses, it's not his original name. It's a name that the daughter of Pharaoh gave him, and so on. And sometimes it's completely named as a name completely assigned by the Torah to a person. But the real name, it's somewhere in the Midrash. I don't remember exactly.
That's fine. So my next question is, suppose Cain had not killed Abel, then that generation would not have descended so low that the flood came and destroyed the earth.
It could be. We don't know exactly what, but the point, in fact, I think they have a good answer for that. What Noah thought, and it will be more clear as we speak next time, Noah thought the fault is not in Cain himself or Abel himself. The fault is in mankind. Mankind is built like an animal, bloodthirsty heart. You really said that in the Rainbow Covenant, there, in the introduction there. We'll speak about next week. So mankind has a bloody thirst, bloody bloody heart that we inherited, if you want, from evolution. we in the 21st century will say, oh, of course, we inherited from all the animals and creatures that preceded us. We repeat the entire evolution in our body, from one cell to a complete human. So we carry the way the cat torture the mice. We carry with us the way that the crocodiles slash flesh or animal kill. And, we carry us the way the vegetation is poison, and the whole fight of life and death we carry it in us. So we are so that was on his Noach mind, that regardless your piety, sooner or later you will slide down the road, down that slippery road, and there is no way to stop it. You will end up with bloodshed. Because why? Because we are such animals. If that's so, why should he bring children to the world? If we have no escape from that, at the thought, if I'm sure that another flood will come, why should I bring children? And now that he's sitting by the altar, being rejected, he's even more sure. He is now almost 100% sure that there's no way to stop it from happening. That we are indeed bloodthirsty animals, and no way to stop it. So he's discouraged now by the way his offering was rejected. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to next week. It's kind of like a cliffhanger. I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of the story.
Yeah. Okay. So read the text, and especially prepare yourself for the whole detail of the Rainbow Covenant. And we are actually next week we will continue to know thinking about the past. What error was there that he could correct? All right. Have a nice week, and see you next week. Bye.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Welcome.